Hi, I'm Dave Baring, Technical Director at TriStar, and welcome to another Ask the Expert segment. Today our question comes from one of our machine tool rebuilding customers. We have a lot of companies around the United States that we work with that are in the business of rebuilding machine tools. One of the materials that we sell a lot of is Rulon 142. The Rulon 142 is a linear slide material that's used on the XYZ tables for machine tools, and it's really designed to be a fail-safe for these machines so that there's no metal-to-metal galling potential if there's a lubrication failure. If the machine's working properly, obviously there's lubrication, but in the off chance that the lube fails, you don't want that very expensive machine running metal on metal. So that's where the Rulon 142 comes into play. There's other products out there. The Turkite B is probably the most well-known. The Rulon 142 is a very, very similar product developed for the machine tool industry. So one of the questions we get a lot of is regarding bonding issues. And bonding is something that we talk a lot about on some of our other videos, but let me address this one particular question because it comes up an awful lot. And the simple question is, my 142 is not sticking. And there's all kinds of reasons why it may not be sticking. So let's kind of review real quick what our normal troubleshooting would be. First of all, if you have ever seen the Rulon 142 or Turkite B or any of the other linear slide materials, you'll recognize that there are two colors. There is a blue-gray color on one side and then a dark brown color on the other side. I'm assuming that most of the rebuilders or all of the rebuilders know that the brown side is the side that has been etched or treated for bonding. You can't make Teflon stick without etching it. And so when you see that dark brown color, that means that the material has been treated, and what you're seeing there is the carbon bond exposure, and that's what your adhesive will stick to. So be sure that you're bonding the right side. The second thing is cleanliness, and if you've seen our bonding instructions, you'll see us stress it all over the bonding instructions. Clean, 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 clean. Absolutely imperative to get the Rulon to stick, and this is not just for 142 but for any Rulons. You have to clean the surfaces very well. The metal surface that you're bonding to, especially for you rebuilding customers out there, if it's an old casting, if there's a lot of oil in that casting, sometimes if the machine is 50 years old and it's an old casting that had a lot of porosity, you could have oil seeping down through there from years and years and years ago. And so it's very critical that we draw as much of that oil up as possible. And even though it's a lot of work, the rule of thumb is usually try and put some heat on it, draw up some of that oil, and at least get the oil that's close to the surface up as high as you can get it, and then hopefully you won't have anything seep up there during the bonding process. So if you can, heat up the slides. Be sure that you draw as much oil up as you can, and then clean it with a fast evaporating cleaner. Isopropyl alcohol and acetone are the two cleaners that we recommend. Don't use MEK. That's so dangerous anymore anyway, so don't use MEK, and I would suggest don't even have it in your shop. Don't obviously use hydrocarbon-based cleaners. We don't want to put oil back on the oil. So don't use any oil-based cleaners. Green cleaners are good. You can use things like Simple Green and some of the citrus type cleaners. Those work really well. But be sure that whatever you do, there's no residual material left behind. We don't want any film of any oil-based product. The second part of this is to be sure to clean the etched side of the Rulon. And we're so concerned about cleanliness, we would suggest that you do this whole process with gloves on, because even the oil from your fingers can leave little spots on there that could potentially become bond line failures. It's that sensitive. So clean, clean, clean. That's what we're going to stress all the time when you're bonding Rulon 142 or any of the Rulons. The third thing is the surface finish itself. The surface that you're bonding to, be sure that it's rough enough to be able to capture the adhesive. The shear strength of our adhesive comes partly from the surface finish. If you have too smooth of a finish and there's no peaks and valleys for the product to grab onto, obviously we've got a problem in shear. So we recommend that you go to the extreme. A 250 RMS finish is perfectly fine here. Usually we recommend 125 to 250 just to give us a nice range there. But don't be concerned if it's too rough. A nice fly cut surface is good. Sometimes you can shot blast the surface and get a good enough surface, but we actually do prefer to have a good clean milled surface. When you're going through the bonding process, be sure that you mix the A and B components separately for at least 5 minutes. I know it seems extreme, but if you use the CE211 adhesive, or if you're used to using the Waylock adhesive, you'll know that there's glass beads in there, and the glass beads are part of the adhesive technology. That's what gives you your 3,000 thick uniform bond line. If you don't properly stir that and the beads stay at the bottom, you've lost that part of the adhesive. So mix them both up 5 minutes each. Use separate stir sticks, obviously, because you don't want to cross-contaminate. And then mix them together with our CE211 adhesive. It's a 1-to-1 by weight or volume. It's pretty easy that way. And then stir those two together for 5 minutes. I know it's a long process, but we're just trying to be sure that you do all the steps properly so that you don't have these problems with bond line failure. Once that's done, we supply you with a serrated applicator, crosshatch both surfaces, both the metal surface and also the etch side of the Rulon, and then lay it down. We normally recommend that you lay it down from one end and push the air out as you go down the slide, and then put your weight on it and let it set up for 24 hours, and you're good to go. Technically, with the CE211 adhesive, you could actually start working after 8 hours, but 24 hours is what we recommend for a working time for the adhesive to set up. 7 days is what it requires for full cure, but we know in the rebuild business you don't have that kind of time. So hopefully this helps. We have a lot of experience with bonding Rulons, especially with the 142. So if you're a rebuilder and you're having some problems, give us a call. We'll be happy to help you out, and we can certainly supply you with anything you need in terms of 142 or the adhesive. We've got it all in stock. So we look forward to hearing from you if you're having issues. If you have any bonding issues on the Rulon, please be sure and contact us at Ask the Expert or call us at 800 TriStar. See you again soon.